So we have a project with generic behavior in it right now, and I have my little portion of the project. This is the package for generic behavior. This is where my project's going to be. And in this video, we're going to start creating the pieces we need for Pong. We're not going to give them functionality, but we're going to start putting them in the scene so that we can give them functionality. So if we look at what we need for Pong in the project, the core components are the pieces that we're going to need to create Pong. So there's 2 paddles, 1 ball, 2 goals, and a play space. So we're going to start with just creating these in this video. So I have my empty world here, and I have my camera, and I'm going to go to where my camera is viewed. And I'm going to start creating objects for Pong. Now you can see that we don't really have if you look at Pong, what Pong was, this view, this doesn't really look like our scene right now. Our scene has this beautiful skybox. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this skybox to black. So if I click on my camera, you can see the clear flags here is set to skybox on the camera. And we're going to change that to solid color. And you can see in the game view, you're not going to see this in the world view, but in the game view, you can see that the camera went to a solid color for the background. And I don't want blue because Pong was blue, so on the background color, I'm going to change this to black. And now the camera just sees black, nothing. And in the game view, you can see that it is the same thing. So we're going to have to start adding some things to this world to actually populate it. I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to put it at 0 on the Y, just because I want it there, because I'm going to put other things at 0 also. So we have to create a world for Pong. And to do that, I'm just going to create a 3D object. We're going to do a lot of this with cubes. And by default, they're white, so we can kind of see what this is. So why don't we see this cube right here? If I click on the camera, we put it in the world, but we don't see it. The camera's at 0, 0, -10, and this cube is at a really weird spot, very close to the camera. So I'm going to put the cube at 0, 0, 0. And if I click on the camera, the preview, I should be able to see my cube in there. And so I'm going to make floor and ceiling right now. And a good way to do this is my camera view, and if I want, this is what I'm going to see in the game. I'm going to click on the camera, and I'm going to lock it with this little lock right here. Now remember to unlock it because you'll get confused why you don't see your other inspector stuff. But I'm going to lock this. And now if I click on the cube, this little preview will stay up here. So if you remember how we manipulated these, I'm going to shrink it down a little. And you can see that happening in the little preview over there. And I'm going to make it longer so that this is the floor. And I'm going to hit W and switch it so I can push it down to where the floor is going to be. And there's something interesting you're going to see here when I start moving it. You start to see that this doesn't look like a flat rectangle anymore. It starts to look more like a stretched out version of this. And that's because we have the camera on perspective. And perspective, if you can look at this camera right now, see how that triangle spreads it out? That gives it perspective so that we can makes it look 3D. We want to make a 2D game, so we want to get rid of that perspective. And the way we do that is look at this projection right here. I'm going to change this to orthographic. And you'll see it change that kind of pyramid shape into a flat shape. Now you're not going to see that. So if I click on this and I move this however I want, it's always going to look, it's going to give it no perspective. It's always going to look kind of flat straight on. So I'm going to make it a little thinner, even. And I'm going to put it down to where it looks like it's at the floor. And so that's my floor, and I'm actually going to duplicate that to make the ceiling. I'm going to click on the object, I'm going to hit Control D, and you'll see it made another one of these, and I can grab it up and make my ceiling. Now I have a floor and a ceiling. And I'm going to name these things so that I know what they are. So I have this clicked. I'm going to click in it once and go floor. I'm going to click in this once and go ceiling. Did I spell that right? Yes. Ceiling. So we have the floor and the ceiling now. And so the other two things we need that you can actually see in Pong, we'll need a ball and we'll need some paddles. So I'm actually just going to click off that, and I'm going to create a new cube for my ball. You could make it a sphere if you wanted to, but I'm going to make a cube. And you can see that I made this cube, but this cube doesn't have a camera on it, and I can't, it doesn't look like it's at 0, 0, -10. So the problem is I didn't unlock my camera inspector. So I'm going to unlock this with that little lock sign right there. And now when I click on the cube, obviously I won't see my camera preview anymore, but I can actually start seeing this cube and the components for it. I do want to see that though. I want to set the cube at 0, 0, 0 for its position on its transform. No rotation, no scale, or just one scale. I'm going to change that in a second. Let's see what that looks like by looking at the camera. So that looks a little large. I'm going to lock the camera again. And I'm going to scale this down. I hit select it, hit R, and I'm going to scale it down so it looks a little bit more like a ball should there. And I'm going to name it ball. And so we only have two more pieces here. I mean, there's some stuff we could put the line down the center, but we wouldn't really, it's not functional pieces. So to make the paddles, I'm actually just going to select the ball because it's already where I want it to be. And I'm going to duplicate it twice. Actually, I'm only going to duplicate it once. Duplicate it once, and I'm going to hit W on the duplicated one and bring it over to the side so I can see where it's at. I'm going to hit R so that I can make it scale it up so that it's like a paddle. And that's pretty much it. That's my paddle right there. You can make it whatever size you want. That looks like a good size. And it's already on 0, 0, but now it's on, if I unclick this, it's at -9.3 there. And if I wanted to really make this, I would hit this at -10. And I'm going to, now that I've sized that correctly, I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to put that one, if I hit W, you'll see that I can move this one also. And I'm going to put this one, it's not still on. This one I'm going to put at +10. And so this one was at -10, this one's at +10. And if I click my main camera, I have a setup here for Pong. I have my two paddles, and I have my ball, and they don't do anything yet, but I have the pieces that I need to start creating Pong.